Well, I can't quit you, baby.
And let me say, this is for no one in particular. Enter Ahab, then all. It was not a great while after the affair of the pipe that one morning, shortly after breakfast, Ahab, as was his wont, ascended the cabin gangway to the deck. There, most sea captains usually walk at that hour, as a country gentleman after the same meal takes a few turns in the garden. Soon his steady ivory stride was heard, and to and fro he paced his old rounds upon planks so familiar to his tread that they were all over indented like geological stones with the particular mark of his walk. Did you fixedly gaze, too, upon that ribbed and dented brow? There also you would see still stranger footprints, the footprints of his one unsleeping, ever-pacing thought. But on the occasion in question, those dents looked deeper, even as his nervous step that morning left a deeper mark. And so full of his thoughts was Ahab that at every uniform turn that he made, now at the mainmast and now at the binnacle, you could almost see that thought turn in him as he turned, and pace in him as he paced, so completely possessing him indeed, that it all but seemed the inward mold of every outward moving. "D'ye mark him, Flask?" whispered Staub. "The check that's in him pecks the shell. 'Twill be out soon." The hours wore on. Ahab now shut up within his cabin, anon pacing the deck with the same intense bigotry of purpose in his aspect. It drew near the close of day. Suddenly he came to a halt by the bulwarks, and inserting his bone leg into an auger hole there, and with one hand grasping a shroud, he ordered Starbuck to send everybody aft. "Sir," said the mate, astonished at an order seldom or never given on shipboard except in some extraordinary case. "Send everybody aft," repeated Ahab. "Mastheads there, come down." When the entire ship's company were assembled, with curious and not unwholly apprehensive faces, were eyeing him, for he looked not unlike the weather horizon when a storm is coming up. Ahab, after repeatedly glancing over the bulwarks and then darting his eyes among the crew, started from his standpoint, and as though not a soul were nigh him, resumed his heavy turns upon the deck. With bent head and half-slouched hat, he continued to pace, unmindful of the wondering whispering among the men, till Staub cautiously whispered to Flask that Ahab must have summoned them there for the purpose of witnessing a pedestrian feat. But this did not last long. Vehemently pausing, he cried, "What do you do when you see a whale, men?" "Sing out for him," was the impulsive rejoinder from a score of clubbed voices. "Good," cried Ahab, with wild approval in his tones, observing the hearty animation into which his unexpected question had so magnetically thrown them. "And what do you do next, men?" "Lower away and after him." "And what tune do you pull to, men?" "A dead whale or a stove boat." More and more strangely and fiercely glad and approving grew the countenance of the old man at every shout, while the mariners began to gaze curiously at each other, as if marveling how it was that they themselves became so excited at such seemingly purposeless questions. But they were all eagerness again as Ahab, now half revolving in his pivot hole, with one hand reaching high up a shroud and tightly, almost convulsively grasping it, addressed them thus: "All ye mastheaders have now heard me give orders about a white whale. Look ye, do ye see this Spanish ounce of gold?" holding up a broad, bright coin to the sun. "It's a $16 piece, men. Do ye see it? Mr. Starbuck, hand me yon topmaul." While the mate was getting the hammer, Ahab, without speaking, was slowly rubbing the gold piece against the skirt of his jacket, as if to heighten its luster, and without using any words was meanwhile lowly humming to himself, producing a sound so strangely muffled and inarticulate that it seemed the mechanical humming of the wheels of his vitality in him. Receiving the topmaul from Starbuck, he advanced toward the mainmast, and with the hammer uplifted in one hand, exhibiting the gold coin with the other, and with a high raised voice exclaiming, Whosoever of ye raises me a white-headed whale with a wrinkled brow and a crooked jaw, whosoever of ye raises me that white-headed whale with 3 holes punctured in his starboard fluke, look ye, whosoever of ye raises me that same white-headed whale, he shall have this gold ounce, me boys. Huzzah! Huzzah! Cried the seamen, as with swinging tarpaulins they hailed the act of nailing the gold to the mast. It's a white whale, I say, resumed Ahab as he threw down the topmaul. A white whale. Skin your eyes for him, men. Look sharp for white water. If you see but a bubble, sing out! All this while, Tashtego, Dagu, and Queequeg had looked on with ever more intense interest and surprise than the rest. And at the mention of the wrinkled brow and crooked jaw, they had started as if each was separately touched by some specific recollection. Captain Ahab, said Tashtego, that white whale must be the same one they call Moby Dick. Moby Dick, shouted Ahab. Do you know the white whale then, Tash? Does he fantail a bit curious, sir, before he goes down? Said the gay-header deliberately. And has he a curious spout, too? Said Dagu. Very bushy, even for a parmacetti. Mighty quick, Captain Ahab. And have he 1, 2, 3, oh, good many iron in him hide, too, Captain? Cried Queequeg disjointedly. Oh, twiskety be twist like him, faltering hard for a word and screwing his hand round and round as though uncorking a bottle. Like him. Corkscrew, cried Ahab. Aye, Queequeg, the harpoons lie all twisted and wrenched in him. Aye, Dagu, his spout is a big one, like a whole shock of wheat, and white as a pile of our Nantucket wool after the great annual sheep shearing. Aye, Tashtego, and he fans like a split jib in a squall. Death and devils, man! It's Moby Dick you've seen! Moby Dick! Moby Dick! Captain Ahab, said Starbuck, who with Staub and Flask had thus been eyeing his superior with increasing surprise, but at last seemed struck with a thought which somewhat explained all the wonder. Captain Ahab, I have heard of Moby Dick, but it was not Moby Dick that took off thy leg. Who told thee that? Cried Ahab, then pausing. Aye, Starbuck, aye, me hearties all around, was Moby Dick that dismasted me. Moby Dick that brought me to this dead stump I now stand on. Aye, and he shouted it with a loud animal sob like that of a heart-struck moose. Aye, and it was that accursed whale that raised me, made a poor begging lubber of me forever and a day. Then tossing both arms with measureless implications, he shouted, Aye, and I'll chase him round Good Hope, and around the Horn, and around the Norway Maelstrom, around perdition's flames before I give him up. And this is what you ship for, mates. To chase that white whale on both sides of land, and on all sides of the earth till he spouts black blood, rolls fit out. What say ye, men? Will ye splice hands on it now? I think you do look brave. Aye, shouted the harpooneers and seamen, running closer to the excited old man. A sharp eye for the white whale! A sharp glance for Moby Dick! God bless ye! He seemed to half sob and half shout. God bless ye, men! Stewart, go draw the great measure of grog. But what's this long face about, Mr. Starbuck? Wilt thou not chase the white whale? Art thou not game for Moby Dick? I am game for his crooked jaw and for the jaws of death too, Captain Ahab, if it fairly comes in the way of the business we follow. But I came here to hunt whales, not my commander's vengeance. How many barrels will thy vengeance yield thee, even if thou gettest it, Captain Ahab? It will not fetch thee much in our Nantucket market. Nantucket market, hoot! But come closer, Starbuck. Thou requirest a little lower layer. If money's to be the measurer, man, and the accountants have computed their great counting house the globe by girding it with guineas 1 to every 3 parts of an inch, then let me tell thee that my vengeance will fetch a great premium here. He smites his chest, whispered Staub. What's that for? Methinks it rings most vast but hollow. Vengeance on a dumb brute, cried Starbuck, that simply smote thee from blindest instinct? Madness! To be enraged with a dumb thing, Captain Ahab, seems blasphemous, sir. Hark ye yet again, a little lower layer. All visible things, men, are but pasteboard masks. But in each event and every living act, the undoubted deed, there, some unknown but still reasoning thing puts forth the moldings of its features from behind the unreasoning mask. If man will strike, strike through the mask. How can the prisoner reach outside except by thrusting through the wall? To me, the white whale is that wall shoved near to me. Sometimes I think there's naught beyond, but 'tis enough. He tasks me. He heaps me. I see in him outrageous strength with inscrutable malice sinewing it. That inscrutable thing is chiefly what I hate. Be it the white whale agent or be it the white whale principal, I will wreak that hate upon him. Talk not to me of blasphemy, man. If I'd strike the sun, if it insulted me. For could the sun do that, then I could do the other, since there's ever a sort of fair play herein, jealousy presiding over all creation. But not my master, man, is ever that fair play. Who's over me? Truth has no confines. Take off thine eye. More intolerable is a fiend's glare than a doltish stare. So, thou reddenest and palest. My heat has melted thee to anger glow. But look ye, Starbuck, what is said in heat, that thing unsays itself. There are men from whom warm words are small in dignity. I meant not to incense thee. Let it go. Look, see yonder Turkish cheeks of spotted tarn, living, breathing pictures painted by the sun, the pagan leopards, the unreasoning, unworshipping things that live and seek and give no reason for their torrid life they feel. The crew, man, the crew! Are they not one and all with Ahab in this matter of the whale? See Staub, he laughs! See yonder Chilean, he snorts to think of it. Stand up amidst the general hurricane, thy one-tossed sapling cannot, Starbuck. And what is it? Reckon it. 'Tis but to help strike a fin. No wondrous feat for Starbuck. What is more, from this one poor hunt, in the best lance out of all Nantucket, surely he will not hang back when every foremast hand has clutched a whetstone. Aye, constraining seas thee I see, the billows lift thee. Speak, but speak! Aye, thy silence then, that voices thee. Something shot from my dilated nostrils. He has inhaled it in his lungs. Starbuck is now mine, cannot oppose me now without rebellion. God keep me, keep us all, murmured Starbuck lowly. And we will continue the end of this speech. I mean, don't you want to know where Ahab goes with this? Ahab's speech in the quarterdeck, Act 2. God keep me, keep us all, murmured Starbuck lowly. But in his joy at the enchanted, tact acquiescence of the mate, Ahab did not hear his foreboding invocation, nor yet the low laugh from the hold, nor yet the presaging vibrations of the winds in the cordage, nor yet the hollow flap of the sails against the masts, as for a moment their hearts sank in. For again Starbuck's downcast eyes lighted up with the stubbornness of life. The subterranean laugh died away. The winds blew on. The sails filled out. The ship heaved and rolled as before. Ah, ye admonitions and warnings, why stay ye not when ye come? But rather, ye are predictions than warnings, ye shadows. Yet not so much predictions from without as verifications of the foregoing things within. For with little external to constrain us, the innermost necessities in our being, these still drive us on. The measure, cried Ahab. Receiving the brimming pewter and turning to the harpooneers, he ordered them to produce their weapons. Then ranging them before him near a capstan, with the harpoons in their hands, while his 3 mates stood at his side with their lances, and the rest of the ship's company formed a circle around the group. He stood for an instant, searchingly eyeing every man of his crew. But those wild eyes met him as the bloodshot eyes of the prairie wolves meet the eyes of their leader ere he rushes on at their head in the trail of the bison, but alas, only to fall into the hidden snare of the Indian. "Drink and pass," he cried, handing the heavy charge flagon to the nearest seaman. "The crew alone now drink. Round with it, round. Short draughts, long swallows, men. 'Tis hot as Satan's hoof. So it goes round excellently. It spiralizes in ye, forks out at the serpent's snapping eye. Well done, almost drained. That way it went, this way it comes. Hand it me. Here's a hollow. Men, ye seem the years, so brimming life is gulped and gone. Steward, refill! Attend now, me braves. I have mustered ye all around this capstan, and ye mates, flank me with your lances, and ye harpooneers, stand there with ye irons, and ye stout mariners, ring me in, that I may in some way sort of revive a noble custom of my fishermen fathers before me. O men, you will yet see that. Hey, boy, come back. Bad pennies come not sooner. Hand it me. Why, now this pewter had run brimming again, wert not thou Saint Vitus his imp. Away, thou egg. Advance, ye mates. Cross your lances before me. Well done. Let me touch the axis. So saying, with extended arm, he grasped the 3 level radiating lances at their cross center. While doing so, suddenly and nervously twitched them, meanwhile glancing intently from Starbuck to Staub, from Staub to Flask. It seemed as though by some nameless interior volition he would fain have shocked them into the same fiery emotion accumulated within the laden jar of his own magnetic life. The 3 mates quailed before his strong, sustained, and mystic aspect. Stubb and Flask looked sideways from him. The honest eye of Starbuck fell downright. "In vain," cried Ahab, "but maybe 'tis well. For did ye 3 but once take the full forced shock, then mine own electric thing, that had perhaps expired from out me. Perchance, too, it would have dropped ye dead. And perchance ye need it not. Down, lances. And now, ye mates, I do appoint ye 3 cupbearers to my 3 pagan kinsmen there. Yon 3 most honorable gentlemen and noblemen, my valiant harpooneers. Disdain the task? Ha ha! What, when the great Pope washes the feet of beggars, using his tiara for a ewer? Oh, my sweet cardinals, your own condescension, that shall bind ye to it. I do not order ye, ye will it. Cut your seizings and draw the pulls, ye harpooneers." Silently obeying the order, the 3 harpooneers now stood with their detached iron part of their harpoons, some 3 feet long, held, barbs up, before him. "Stab me not with that keen steel. Cant them over. Know ye not the goblet end? Turn up the socket. So, now ye cup-bearers, advance. The irons, take them. Hold them while I fill. Forthwith." Slowly going from one officer to the other, he brimmed the harpoon sockets with the fiery waters from the pewter. "Now 3 to 3 ye stand. Command the murderous chalices. Bestow them, ye who are now made parties to this indissoluble league. Ha! Starbuck! But the deed is done. Yon ratifying sun now waits to sit upon it. Drink, ye harpooneers. Drink and swear, ye men, that man the deathful whaleboat's bow. Death to Moby Dick. God hunt us all if we do not hunt Moby Dick to his death." The long barbed steel goblets were lifted to cries and maledictions against the whale. The spirits were simultaneously quaffed down with a hiss. Starbuck paled and turned and shivered. Once more, and finally, The replenished pewter went rounds among the frantic crew. When waving his free hand to them, they all dispersed, and Ahab retired within his cabin. If you're here in the States, free Adam Kokesh. If you're there in the beloved Mother Island, Britannia, free Count Dankula. And remember, folks, be good to your friends, be good to your family members, be good to your loved ones. Be quick to say you're sorry. Be even quicker to accept an apology, especially when that thing your friend, your family member, your loved one has done seems to be so huge, you'll never be able to forget about it. Because, constant viewers, my beloved friends, at a time you think not, your friends, your family members, your loved ones, your life, and your very freedom, it may depart from you.